The world is a huge, seemingly limitless place with plenty to explore. From confusing mysteries to biological and ecological phenomenon, there are new discoveries being made out there with each and every day. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be taking a look at 3 recent natural discoveries. New Zealand farm worker stumbles on sinkhole. Back in 2018, a sinkhole certainly caused alarm for one farm worker, as in New Zealand, he stumbled into a rather impressive sinkhole in the midst of him rounding up the cows. A sinkhole is a hole in the ground which is formed when the surface layer collapses. They typically occur following a change in water levels. It does look likely that this sinkhole can be credited to the weather, as it opened up following a number of days of heavy rain. This sinkhole, however, was no ordinary sinkhole. The gap spanned across the length of 2 football fields and reportedly clocked in at a whopping 6 stories high. Colin Tremaine, the manager of the farm, explained that the area is particularly vulnerable to sinkholes as a result of the limestone that rests beneath the ground's surface. Of course, on a farm, livestock is the biggest priority, and so there were discussions of implementing a fence in order to keep the animals safe. One scientist, a volcanologist, Brad Scott, had said that the sinkhole was around thrice as big than any he had seen before, and he believed it could be the result of an underground city developed just decades before us. We might not know the direct cause of this giant gap, but it's worth considering just how many different possibilities there could be. Mysterious sinkholes of Mount Baldi. The Mount Baldi, Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore is home to a rather great mystery. Whilst the public can enjoy the trails and the beachfront, this national park has seen some restrictions in somewhat recent years. The Mount Baldi dunes closed, and have remained closed since some unusual activities were detected. We are still no closer to figuring out precisely what was going on. Mount Baldi is home to some peculiar sinkholes that seemingly appear and disappear, though we have no idea why. When geologist Erin Argulan first began to study this in 2013, she described it as what happens to be a new geological phenomenon. Of course, Argulan was not the only expert to search for answers out in these dunes. For months, plenty of experts took to the sands, searching for clues and hints. The holes that were forming typically measured to approximately a foot in diameter and last only a single day. Their fleeting, temporary nature was thanks to them refilling with sand, naturally within a day's time. It's unclear just how dangerous the holes in these dunes may be to visitors, and so the areas are restricted in the interest of public safety. Those who were researching, experts and investigators, took many efforts and approaches with ground-penetrating radar, specialized GPS devices, and other similar tools being employed to look beneath the surface and try to find the answers to what is going on. Unfortunately, it took tragedy to strike for this geological mystery to be uncovered. Argulan was in Mount Baldi, roughly midway through the July of 2013, carrying out unrelated research at the base of the dunes, when she heard frantic screams. A couple, understandably highly distressed, were pointing at the ground, saying their young 6-year-old son had been swallowed by the dunes. The rescue crews were able to get to the site, though the young boy was buried for 3 hours under 11 feet of sediment. The boy, Nathan Wosner, was in a coma but ultimately survived. Not only was this event highly traumatic for those involved, but it did not make much scientific, geological sense. There should, in theory, be no holes within sand dunes, as the sand leaves no space for air. By that understanding, this event should not have been able to happen. Argulan said, "I couldn't help in the moment, so now I have to do what I can to learn why this is happening." Though the dunes still remain closed to the public, we are still not sure why and how these holes are appearing. One theory suggests that the holes are a result of decaying trees. The human activity and subsequent erosion is then pushing trees into the dunes, where they are buried, begin to rot, and then create the holes. This is still just a theory, however. The reports and questions surrounding the sinkholes first came in at a time when no other national parks were reporting similar scenarios. Even the term sinkhole is misleading, as it is certainly distinct from those we see more commonly. This might be a question that we never quite know the answer to, as we never quite uncover the truth behind this sinkhole phenomena. Strange superorganism is keeping this vampire tree alive. The natural world is full of all sorts of wondrous and impressive phenomena we might never understand. At first glance, some of these mystical feats truly seem magical, but does the magic begin to fade when we start to delve into the science that lies beneath? In New Zealand, the kauri trees are widely considered to be some of the greatest trees in the world and are currently classified as a threatened species. What is remarkable about these trees is that they can live to be up to 2,000 years old, yet we have seen them reach up to 4,000 in the past. Their staggering heights let them clock in at being the second largest trees, being beaten out by only California's giant sequoias. As exciting as these trees are, that's not quite all we are talking about today. In 2019, the stump of one of these kauri trees has been kept alive because of a labyrinth of roots from other sources that have become tangled up and intertwined with this stump in question. This intricate network of roots has been shown to share resources with one another, which researchers believe is part of what is allowing the stump to continue to live. While this complex tree system is somewhat unbelievable, researchers are working to get to the bottom of what has been dubbed a forest superorganism. One author of the study, Sebastian Lausinger, mentioned that it was he and his colleague Martin Bader who had spotted the stump during their hike in West Auckland and first noticed something peculiar. He said in a statement, "It was odd, because even though the stump didn't have any foliage, it was alive." The question that the researchers were then left with trying to answer is, what did the still-alive trees get out of this deal? It's clear that the stump would have decayed without the host trees, evidenced by its lack of its own leafy greens. However, the still green trees are seemingly not getting anything out of keeping the stump alive. It was Lausinger and Bader who got to investigating. They found that from the nutrients that were being taken in, that the living green trees and the somehow still alive stump were taking in their necessary water intake at different times, entirely distinct from one another. This may be considered an intimate hydrological coupling, according to the abstract of the duo's paper. The paper continues to describe an implied communal physiology, meaning that we could find a lot more out about how forests function and how water is used as a shared resource. Lausinger did clarify that this sits in stark contrast with how we expect trees to usually function. Usually, the water flow is pushed forth as a result of the water potential in the atmosphere. However, what makes this more than a little unusual is that the stump has to simply follow the other trees, as it cannot follow the atmospheric conditions like the other trees. This information, for trees normally, comes as a part of the transpiration process provided by the leaves of the tree. We still don't have confirmation as to why these neighbouring trees are helping out this stump. But that doesn't mean that theories have not begun to form. It's been suggested that some of the stump's roots might act as some sort of a bridge, bringing some value to these much more alive trees. If there is a bridge, then the neighbouring trees will be able to have greater access to various resources, including water and nutrients. Another bonus of additional roots beneath the surface is an increased stability for those trees that are on a steep slope of the forest. If this is the case, then we are seeing a highly evolved, arguably intelligent adaptation mechanism in which the trees are not acting out of individual preservation, but are acting as a one-group superorganism. But what do you make of these incredible discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.